and welcome back to another week in new genre books. My name is Amelia, and from Locus magazine, I'm about to tell you the top new science fiction, fantasy, and horror books being published the week of October 3rd, 2023. Strap in, there's a lot this week for some reason, maybe because it's the beginning of the month. In science fiction, we have 4 new books to talk about. From Samit Basu, we have The Jinn-Bot of Shantiport, out from Tor.com in hardcover and ebook. This is a science fiction adventure novel. When Shantiport's resident tech billionaire coerces Lena, daughter of failed revolutionaries, into retrieving a powerful artifact rumored to be able to reshape reality, forces begin coalescing around Lena and her brother Bador, a small monkey bot. From Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson, we have Princess of Dune, out from Tor in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a science fiction novel, an extension of the Dune series started by Frank Herbert. Set 2 years before Dune, this looks at 2 key women in Paul Muad'Dib's life, Princess Irulan and the Fremen Kiani. From Terry Miles, we have The Quiet Room, out from Del Rey in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a science fiction techno-thriller novel, sequel to Rabbits, based on the author's podcast about a deadly alternate reality game that might be changing reality itself. From Michael Mersalt, we have The Silent Hand, out from Baen in trade paperback and ebook. This is a space opera novel, second in a series about Saif Sinclair Maru, commander of the decadent fleet ship Galactic Imperium. With Marines plummeting into surface combat, an orbital space battle raging, and assassins swarming, treacherous revelations continue to unfold. Next up, horror, we have 9 titles. From the lovely Elizabeth Hand, author of over a dozen novels, including fantasy, crime, and science fiction, we have A Haunting on the Hill, out from Mulholland Books in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a horror novel, an authorized return to the world of Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House. From Alix Harrow, author of 10,000 Doors of January, we have Starling House, out from Tor in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a haunted house horror novel. When Opal gets the chance to step inside Starling House and make some extra cash for her brother's escape fund, she can't resist. As the town of Eden, Kentucky itself seems to be drowning in its own ghosts, Opal realizes that she might have finally found a reason to stick around. From Cassandra Caw and Richard Cadre, we have The Dead Take the A-Train, out from Nightfire in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a supernatural serial killer novel, first in the Carrion Cities series. New York City psychic operative Julie Cruz summons a guardian angel thinking she'll get a career boost, but it doesn't work out as planned. From Paul Jessup, we have Glass House, out from Underland Press in trade paperback and ebook. This is a haunted house horror novel. The Glass family moves into the previous home of the Sunshine Family, a psychedelic rock band from another era that famously devolved into a suicide cult. The house is complete with a family crypt and dark mothers who live inside the walls. What could possibly go wrong? From Kosoko Jackson, we have The Forest Demands Its Due, out from Quilltree in hardcover and ebook. This is a young adult horror novel. 17-year-old Douglas Jones wants nothing to do with Regent's king-making. He's just trying to survive. But then a student is murdered, and for some reason, by the next day, no one remembers him having ever existed, except for Douglas and the groundskeeper's son, Everett Everly. From Ryan LaSala, we have The Honeys, out from Push in hardcover and ebook. This is a young adult horror novel about art, obsession, and self-image. Ethan is the only survivor of a party for New York City's artistic elite, and while trying to prove his innocence, stumbles on occult societies, eldritch horrors, and an evil bound to him by a mysterious hereditary power. From Sam Rebeline, we have Edenville, out from Morrow in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a debut horror novel exploring genre tropes and urban legends with humor, various flavors of horror, and cosmic gonzo grotesquerie. A writer looking for inspiration joins Edenville College as a writer-in-residence, only to find his girlfriend is right about the small town's dark history. From Neil Sharpson, we have Knock Knock, Open Wide, out from Nightfire in hardcover and ebook. This is a horror novel drawing on Irish folklore. An Irish woman seems surrounded by disturbing deaths and disappearances. Years later, her daughter investigates her twisted memories from childhood, trying to understand what really happened. An Irish woman seems surrounded by disturbing deaths and disappearances. Years later, her daughter investigates her twisted memories from childhood, trying to understand what really happened. And did it really involve a children's TV show? From Ashley Winstead, we have Midnight is the Darkest Hour, out from Sourcebooks Landmark in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a gothic southern horror novel. 2 outcasts investigate murders in a small Louisiana town that has a legend of the Low Man, a vampiric killer. Next up, fantasy, we have 10 titles. From the fantastic Nicola Griffith, we have Menewood out from MCD in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a historical fantasy novel, sequel to Hild, about the life of St. Hilda of Whitby. The book is set in 7th century Britain, a land of rival kings. Hild is no longer the bright child who made a place in Edwin Overking's court with her seemingly supernatural insight. She is 18 now, the formidable Lady of Emmet, building her personal stronghold in the Valley of Menewood. Griffith has a PhD and brings both an artistic lyricism and a depth of historical research to her work. I had the chance to chat with the author about how much I loved the magic in her book Spear, which she calls body magic. Griffith's work has been winning and shortlisted for lots of awards lately, including the novel Spear winning the UK Society of Authors' inaugural ADCI Literary Prize. ADCI stands for Authors with Disabilities and Chronic Illnesses. From Kylie Lee Baker, we have The Scarlet Alchemist out from Inkyard Press in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a young adult historical fantasy novel, the first in a duology set in an alternate Tang Dynasty China, where a biracial girl with the ability to raise the dead gets caught up in the dangerous political games of the royal family. From D.P. Behling, we have Josh and Sen Save the Multiverse, The Path of One, out from Caden's Group in ebook. This is a humorous science fantasy novel, the first in the Josh and Sen Save the Multiverse series. Josh is pulled into the multidimensional world of the immortals, and to return home must reach transcendence with the help of Sen, who is seeking to regain his immortality. From Sharon Emmerichs, we have Shield Maiden, out from Orbit in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a debut fantasy novel, an epic and intimate feminist retelling of Beowulf, refocusing on a fierce young woman reclaiming her power. From Jason June, we have The Spells We Cast, out from Melissa De La Cruz Studio in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a young adult fantasy novel about spell casting cowboys. Nigel Barrett has spent his whole life preparing for the Culling, a spell-casting competition that determines which of the world's teenage magicians will be stripped of their powers to preserve magical balance. But nothing could have prepared him to face Ori Olsen, a rival whose caustic wit cloaks a painful past. Sparks fly. From Carrie Maniscalco, we have Throne of the Fallen, out from Little Brown in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a fantasy novel set in Maniscalco's Kingdom of the Wicked World. Miss Camilla Antonius enters a devil's bargain with the Prince of Envy, traveling together through underworld realms. From KJ Parker, we have Savus Corax Deals with the Dead, out from Orbit US in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a fantasy novel, the first book in a series about battlefield scavenger Savus Corax. From Phoebe Wagner, we have A Shot of Gin, out from Parliament House Press in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a debut solarpunk urban fantasy novel about Las Vegas vampires. Juniper Jin Kane works security for the vampire-owned All Saints Casino because vampires, conveniently, can't drink her blood. All seems to be fine until a radiated zombie staggers into the casino club, threatening Jin's security and home. From Laura E. Weymouth, we have The Voice Upstairs, out from McElderry in hardcover and ebook. This is a young adult historical fantasy mystery novel about a working-class girl in 1920s England who can see spirits and works with a lord's son to solve mysterious deaths. From Cal Woods, we have After the Forest, out from Tor in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a fairy tale fantasy novel. Greta and Hans, aka Hansel and Gretel, are grown and struggling to get by, but Greta has secretly kept the witch's grimoire with its addictive recipe for gingerbread. In anthologies and collections, we have 2 titles. From Jordan Peele, we have Out There Screaming, new black horror, out from Random House in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a black horror anthology, including stories by P. Jelly Clark, Tananarive Dew, Nalo Hopkinson, N.K. Jemison, Rebecca Rowanhorse, and Cadwell Turnbull, with an introduction by Peele. Additional editing by John Joseph Adams. From Rebecca Hirsch Garcia, we have The Girl Who Cried Diamonds and Other Stories, out from ECW Press in trade paperback and ebook. This is a debut collection of speculative stories that flirt between the surreal and the mundane horror of the everyday. That wraps up this week. Thanks for spending some time with us. At Locus, we work hard to try to tell you about everything going on in the science fiction, fantasy, horror publishing space. If you got something out of this, please like this video and subscribe if you want to see my face and all of these fresh new books showing up in your feed when you look at your phone. Locus Magazine and the Locus YouTube channel are a labor of love. We were smart enough to go into banking, engineering, law, or medicine, and we somehow decided to go into publishing instead. We are at Locus Mag or at Locus Magazine on most platforms. You can read more about the science fiction, fantasy, and horror field over at www.locusmag.com or support us on our Patreon. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. Come back and see us again soon, and we'll be here next week with more new books.